Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Tuesday, November 18th. And got week overnight. Look at that thing coming apart. That's not looking too good. Um, I'm dragging off my F1 over this screen right there, and you can see overnight. We had a weak close yesterday, a little bit of a snapback, little bit, but not too impressive, but a little one. I tried to trade it. I got shaken out that low take on that trade. Anyway, the overnight it just started kind of held it for a little bit, and then it started kind of selling off pretty good all the way down here to the 66.30. So down here probing again, right? And it's in this critical area. And for a second there on Friday, when I had a massive snapback on Friday, I thought we had a shot at holding on to this. But now we are yesterday, a bit of strength and weakness, and more weakness. So I'm thinking we are up for a test of this area. See if they can probe below with this area. See how far they can take it on the downside. But definitely, capital flow has kind of changing direction. Looks to me like we are in for maybe a bit of a correction here. You kind of had to take out this area, so I mean it can still hold up. Usually a correction gives you a little bit more of a sell-off right from the get-go. This has been just probing and failing and being bought and stuff. So it's not quite the normal kind of correction you would normally see, where you have like some relentless selling going on for for a period of time. There's been some significant buying in between and holding this together. So hard to say what's going on with that, but it's definitely rotation out of some of these tech stocks, and they hold to the downside again. You know, all the tech stock, AI stocks, and all that stuff is on the downside again this morning. So news as well. We're starting to get the economic news again. So this morning we get at 8:30 import-export prices. We have industrial production at 9:15, housing market at 10. Factory index at 10. So we have some data coming out, the delayed report, factory orders. So we'll see, get some read of the economy here. Industrial production and 9:15 and factory orders should be a pretty interesting number. And that's about it. So 9:15, 10 is we have news this morning. At 8, import export prices at 8:30 may give us a hint, but not sure how big of a report that is. So that's the news this morning, 8:30, 9:15, and 10. But looking at the ES to get started, we are on the downside. So we're going to start off on the short side of the market. Given the overnight, given the yesterday sell-off, and not the snapback wasn't as even close to as powerful as I was hoping for. But there's a little bit of buying at the very end, but not much. It looks like the buying interest is running out, and I guess we got some weakness ahead of us. So looking to sell strength this morning for rotations down, and be mindful. I mean, as you saw yesterday, we had a pretty good, very violent run by, like rally right from the get-go at the open. So early strength, and then we ended up with weakness in the afternoon. That's not a great sign. But we are into an area here, an area of support, which could hold up, and but it's and if it doesn't, we have a huge area of probing here below it, from the 66.30 all the way down here to the 6500s. So it's like a 100-point range here. It's low volume area, and a big low volume area, which could very well be tested. They could run through this one pretty quick. So it could be one of those ugly days ahead of us if support comes out. So let's stay on the short side this morning, looking to sell strength. This point against that 6670s, 6685s, 6700s, 6705s for rotations back down. We start taking out that session high, start retracing those single print J's. We may have a shot at getting back up to that 6715 and maybe higher. But at this point, I would hold off until we get up above that 6730. It's kind of where you start getting some interesting dynamic going on there. Getting back into this attractor area at the 6760s. There's a small attractor here at the 60s. We have some way to go before we get up in that area. So starting off from the short side, looking to sell strength. If they can get up above the 67.05. I'll take off the short bias, go back range bound. If they can get up above that 67.30 to 40s, I would be more interested in more inclined to look for a little bit of retracement. I adjusted that edge a bit. I want to be on that 4-level edge up to that low, and that 8-period low. So, but it could be a nice long trade running it up here and to test these areas of resistance. But as I said, I'm going to be looking at just the short side of the market. If they start taking out that 67.05s, go back range bound. Still looking for shorts again, 67.30 and 67.40s for rotations down. And above 67.40, I think we finally back in action again. But sometimes you get those violent morning retracement, early strength kind of numbers, and they run it up, and they could take out that session high and run it a little bit higher, and that fake you out on the long side. But we'll take that with a grain of salt. So range bound in this area will be between the 67.05 and the 67.40s, and then we'll see how far they can take it. All right. So, and on the way down, and not going to be very aggressive on the buy side at all. We have the 55s ahead of us, the 45s and the 35s, which is kind of the lower end of this volume edge. You can see here how this volume tapers off pretty good. So they take these three out. We are heading lower. We're in for a doozy at that point, I think. So looking at sell strength. Initially, 66, 70, 85s, 95s, up to the 67.05s, rotations down. Above the 05, 67.05s, take off the short bias. Still looking for shorts against the 30s and the 40s, for rotations back down again. But above that, we stay range bound. And if they get right back below it again, we'll see. We'll just back on the short side. If you get afternoon weakness, as we did today, it's just not a great sign for the weakness coming our way. And then looking to buy weakness, 66, 55s, 45s, 35s with a bit of caution, since we are leaning towards the short side. I'm not going to be super aggressive on those long trades. So there we have it. That's how we get started. Let's see how kind of crazy day we're going to get today. Looking at the bonds and the NASDAQ, still bond market is just range bound. They're not doing too much, so I'm not going to be worrying too much about the bond market. It's as long as you don't see a massive flight to safety, I think we're in pretty good shape there. The stock market is pretty much in a rotation out of tech stocks into some other stocks, and that's kind of what's going on right now. But if you're holding tech stocks, it looks pretty ugly. So if you have some cash on the sidelines, buying opportunities are there. The Meta is trading below 600 this morning. Microsoft is below 500. So yeah, the Nvidia and the Palantir is also down. Now we get Nvidia earnings on Wednesday, I think. So that's going to be one of those big numbers to pay attention to. Nvidia is down to 185 now. So there's a lot of that stuff going on. But I would start a range bound on the bond market, look to sell strength by weakness pretty equally. So at this point, it looks like they took out that edge with a tick, but looking to buy against, or at this point, they sell against this 4 to 6s, 10s up to the 16s for rotations down. Looking to buy weakness, 17s, 26, 16, 26, 16, 18 to 20s for rotations back up again. And I would say below the 16, 20, 18 to 20s, we start leaning short. And above the 117, 16, we start leaning long on this thing. So pretty straightforward stuff. And as I said, I'm watching the bond market. If I'm going to get a big directional move, that would be concerning. But at this point, the stock market is just rotating between sectors, I think. And NASDAQ, oh my gosh, down here again, probably in the lows. It's a lot of those stocks we're talking about are trading on the NASDAQ, so NASDAQ is getting whacked pretty good. But there's still, you see this whole low volume area there down here again, probing that 24,600s. If they run it down here, they start going below it. You see how the volume tapers off, we get it right back into this low volume area. and we could see a pretty good move to the downside here. So we'll see how it shakes out. But done in probing, and I would start from the short side of the market. I would look to sell strength, same as the ES. At this point, against the 850s, the 900s, up to the 950s for rotations down. And if they start trading above the 950s, I would be still looking for short setups. I would take off the short bias. Still looking to sell strength up to the 9 to 25,000, 25,070s. They start getting up above that 25,070s. I think I'll be more inclined to look for the long side of the market. So again, you can get early strength. If it's going to be a week, still in a net sell mode, you can still get the pretty violent rally in the morning, running it up here, taking out the session highs and going a little bit higher. And those should be, I mean, long trades are definitely doable there when it's a strength like that. But once they start failing, we can see that retrace as it did yesterday, all the way back down again and then some. So we'll see. At this point, starting off on the short side, and let's see how strong of a morning rally we're going to get. As you can see here, we get a little bit of a pop here right now. Pretty violent one at that, right back here from the low at the 650 up to the 750 at 200 points there real quick. So that's how crazy it gets. So I had to trade that with a little bit of caution. And finally, oil and gold. So both of those, I rolled oil, as I said, we rolled it to the January 26th expiration. So that's where we're trading right now. It hasn't really moved a whole lot. So it's still trading in the same range. So stay range bound on oil to sell strength, buy weakness fairly equally. So on oil looking to sell, well, 60s is pretty much taken out now, but 60-25, 60-50, up to that 61. Look to buy against the 59-60s. 59.20s down to the 58.50s for rotations back out. So that's oil, range bound trading on oil. Not much to do with that. I may actually stop following on. I haven't been trading those very actively anyway, and just kind of focus on the ES, Nasdaq, and the bonds maybe. Maybe leave gold in there for a while, but not sure I'm gonna get a whole lot out of oil at all. And finally, gold. Big moves on gold? No. Just kind of a bit probing to the downside a little bit, down to 4,000, back up a little bit. So still holding below the 40-50. So the reverse retest there is still what's going on. If they can get up above that 40-50, maybe have a shot at retracing a little bit. But looks like they're trading between those two high volume areas right now, the 4,000 and 41.30s. So 4,000 down here. That's your low, the bounce of that. Next level up is going to be at that 41.30. That's going to be your next little high volume area. You had a mode on that distribution. So over here at the 41.30 is a high volume area. So you're trading, I think, between them right now. And let's see how this overall thing shakes out. But right now, I would stay on the short side, looking for this early strength, looking for early strength to get short for rotations back to that 4,000 level. It's kind of what I'm thinking. So looking for short setups against the 44s, the 52s, up to that 40-60s, rotations down. And if they take out that 40-60s, I'll be looking for a retracement back up to 4,100. So kind of the way I'm looking at it. It could be a nice short trade against that 73 mode. It could be the one against that upper edge against short setups. But then again, if they start trading above that 40-50, I'm back range bound. The last one I'm looking for shorts against is that 40-60. And then above 40-60, we're for sure range bound. And then we're looking at that mode and potentially that 40-80 area. I can mark up that mode just to be, since I pointed that out, let's do this. So you see there's a small edge right there. First time to that level could give you a nice little bounce, right? So there you have it. So that's ES and the Nasdaq. ES, so no, that's oil. So I'm thinking about oil and gold. So that's oil and gold. So gold, slight bias to the downside, oil range bound. But on the ES and the Nasdaq, we're looking at weakness to get started and see if they're going to get if they're gonna show us some early strength or they're just gonna start nailing this. So they're back down again, probing the lows. We'll see. And they're at the key support area, so they take that bigger area out. I mean, we can drop quite a bit at that point. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll wrap it there for now, guys. So good trading, and I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. So I was going to say too, I'm going to try a slightly different strategy on the trading. I'm going to go for a little bit smaller scalps, put in a profit target a little bit like 8 ticks above on the ES, and do a 70 tick target on the micro Nasdaq. Try to get in because a lot of the trades I take go a little bit and then they get shaken out. I'm going to try and see if ES can take earlier profit and then get a few more successful trades in instead. Slightly different strategy, see how that works out. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. I'll see you back at 11:30. Later.